Welcome back to the show. Well, now to Warren Rodwell's remarkable story of survival.
It's remarkable, all right. Warren was held captive by militants in the Philippines for 472 days, the longest any Australian has endured captivity outside of wartime. There are few who were captured by Islamic terrorist groups and live to tell the tale. But on March 23rd last year, Warren Rodwell was released by his kidnappers after 15 months in captivity, much to the relief of his relatives. The former soldier, originally from Sydney, had been abducted by men claiming to be Filipino police officers. Shot, wounded and taken into hiding, he was held to ransom by Abu Sayyaf, a terrorist organisation who tried to extort $2 million in exchange for his release.
I do not trust Abu Sayyaf. I do not trust the Australian government. I just don't trust anyone.
Forced at gunpoint to denounce the Australian government, Warren didn't think he would make it through.
I personally hold no hope at all for being released.
But something in Warren forced him to carry on, and eventually, after a token ransom of $94,000 was paid, Warren Rodwell was free. His story is now the subject of a book to be released later this year.
And I'm pleased to say that Warren Rodwell joins us now. Good morning to you, Warren.
Oh, good morning.
Seeing those incredible images of you skeletal, it's good to see you back and healthy and well. Tell us, what were those days like? What did they consist of for you?
Mostly very long, empty days, but not simply days. It just became a continuum of nothingness, because it went into days, nights, months, and more months, and it just continued on, and it seemed like there was no end in sight. When anything was possibly going to happen, it didn't. So I tried not to really think too much of what was going on around me, but reflect more on things in my past.
Those video messages, we were all watching them here at home, as you know, they were all over the news, but you played a little bit of a role in helping those videos get out there. Just explain why.
Within about 4 days, or after 4 days of being captured, no one would actually believe that I was alive, because the Filipino police had found a bullet and blood at the house, and they just wrote me off as being dead. But the terrorist spokesman came to me in our remote location and said that no one believes you. They want a link-up, you know, by computer or whatever. But seeing that wasn't available, they brought a camera. So when they produced a written speech for me, I didn't have glasses on, so I had trouble reading it. But I suggested to one of the fellows what he should do is train someone to upload the stuff to YouTube. On the first time trying to use the camera and to make a video, I asked at the end, now, have you got that right? Now, being a bit proud, said, yeah, we know what we're doing. So the next day they came back and there was no volume and said, we need to do it again. You know?
So they were slightly buffoons.
Absolutely. They'd never used a camera before.
Yeah.
Did you connect with any of these guys at all over the time that you were held captive? Because we hear a lot from people who are in that situation where they, you know, through necessity, form some kind of bond with some of their captors.
I believe the syndrome is called Stockholm Syndrome, but I didn't actually form that with them. But we lived in close proximity, and I was met about 100 of these terrorists over the span of 15 months. So naturally enough, we did bond. The ones that I did not like, or I felt had the potential to actually harm me, I tried to make enemies with right at the start. Because if I kicked up some fuss, usually someone much senior would have to be called in. Then I'd just blame it on someone being youthful and inexperienced and just annoying me.
Their original demand was for $2 million in return for your well-being. In the end, they settled for $94,000. Where did that $94,000 come from? And can you tell us about that moment when you found out that you were going to be released?
Okay, well, the money itself did come from the efforts of my brother and sister, and also money of my own. The original piece of wanting $2 million US, I did actually comment at the time when I was told that they would have been better asking for Australian dollars, because it was worth more And they said, oh, what's that mean?
Sense of humour obviously got you through to some degree as well.
Because we were actually, and we were lucky in a sense, because when we paid the ransom, the Australian dollar was higher than the US dollar, so it actually cost less. So it wouldn't be so good doing it now.
Could you believe you're here?
Well, the light's pretty bright. And, I can see you. I can almost touch you. Yeah, I had a firm grip on reality throughout. Your mind, you have to keep your mind pretty sharp. Now, there was another part of your question, Lisa. What was that?
Just that moment when you were told that you were going to be released, what did that feel like?
The person that told me, it was at very short notice, just before I was taken away. He came in under a sheltered area and said to me, oh, brother, you were going to be released. And he leant forward and actually hugged me. You know, he was a sentimental, Latino. Yeah. Then he asked me, could I leave the one pair of boots I'd acquired as a memory for him, because they weren't Wellingtons, they weren't available. So before I eventually got out of the boat, little backpack I had with a few bits and pieces, I threw that in and said, here, keep this as well. It was later I found out that there was going to be DNA testing on my clothing, but there was enough anyway.
Well, your book is coming out later in the year. We're all looking forward to reading it. Thank you so much for coming in and sharing your story with us.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Appreciate it,
Warren
Thank you.
Rodwell, unbelievable.